Hi everybody, it is Wrath of Kings week here on beastsofwar.com, and it is time for your chance to win some of the fantastic prizes we have up for grabs. First up, we have 4 2-player starter bundles to get you and a mate into the world of Wrath of Kings, which include the Honor and Treachery 2-player starter set, the Rising Conflicts book, the Book 1 card deck, and a token set. On top of that, one lucky winner is going to be getting an expanded version of this 2-player starter set, which will include an additional Nasier starter box and an additional Goritsi starter box. Get your comments in on Beasts of War, Facebook and YouTube on any of the themed content this week for your chance to win. Hi guys, welcome back to another Wrath of Kings week video here on Beasts of War. I'm of course joined by Dave and Brian from Coolmini. Welcome gents. And it's the point I've been waiting for this week. It's time to play the game. So,
fantastic.
This is going to be an introduction to the very basics of the game of Wrath of Kings. So we're going to be going over the basic concepts, deployment, movement, fighting, the works. And hopefully I'm going to beat Dave, because I want to beat Dave.
Fingers crossed you will.
Alright, so as you can see, we have built a beautiful, beautiful table here for us to battle out in. As you can see, my wolves are all set up across the table here, coming in off the docks, ready to invade a Nasier village. And Dave, you've got your guys all loaded out on your side of the table.
Over here, ready to defend. Exactly.
So, Brian, are we playing a specific mission here?
Well, we're kind of doing a narrative version, but more importantly, we're using a fantastic setup using your House Goritsi and House Nasier. You've chosen your motivations, which are very important to playing Wrath of Kings. It's how you get into the... how to win a game is to reduce your opponent's morale to 0.
Yeah.
Morale being based off of how you build your force.
Okay, well, if we have a look at my forces here, what would my morale be for what I've got? So I've got a shield breaker, 3 scores of skirmishers, I've got a scourge hound, and I've got the Scorza Alpha here, who is the guy with the big twin swords. So what would that give me morale-wise?
Well, morale's calculated by, for every 3 models in your army, you get 1 point of morale.
So I would have 2.
You would start with 2, and then you also get 1 point of morale for every rank of soldier, or every rank of leader that you have in your force.
Okay, so I have a rank 1 leader, so that puts me to 3 total.
Correct. So you're starting morale with this force, a very, very basic game. You have a starting morale of 3.
Okay, and I'm assuming... I remember we were talking off camera, you were telling me this game does not have points values, it has rank values.
Correct. So every force, you'll start off with so many ranks worth of infantry, so many ranks worth of specialists, so many ranks worth of leaders.
Okay, so I have... If I flip my cards here, I'll be very quickly able to see this. So my shield breaker is rank 1, my scourge hound is rank 1, so I assume I have 2 ranks of specialists. My scores of skirmishers are rank 2s, so I assume I have 6 points worth, or 6 ranks worth of soldiers, and I have a rank 1 leader, so I assume I have 1 rank worth of leader to actually spend.
Exactly.
Okay.
Which the same levels as far as ranks are put into the House Nasier army. They're just, if you look, he's got you outnumbered over here.
Yeah. Because
his infantry are all rank 1.
All of my Ashmen here.
Yeah, on
Ashmen
the far
swordsman.
side there. Okay. So, we've done our deployment. Now, one of the things you also pointed out to me was deployment in this game is very, very different to most other games. So, do you want to maybe explain a little bit about how that works?
So every board is a 4x4 board,
Yep.
is split up into deployment zones. Each side has got 4 separate deployment zones, A, B, C, and D.
Okay.
Those are 5-inch bands that start at your table edge and move forward.
Okay. So, I think all of my guys are deployment zone Bs. So that's...
So when it would come around to you deploying, the person who wins the roll-off chooses a side and then sets up all of their A deployment models.
Okay.
And that would be in that first 5-inch band.
Yeah, so if we look at the table here, see where these little hearts are marked along here? That would be the first 5-inch band in from the table edge. So they would all deploy on that right at the back, yeah?
Correct. And then your opponent would then deploy all of his A models.
Yeah.
And then it would go back to you for the B models, B models, C models, back and forth until everyone's deployed.
Yeah, now, important question, just, I know some people maybe get a little confused on this. If I have a B rank model or a B deployment zone model, I assume that I can't deploy up to 10, it has to be between the 5 and the 10.
Correct, it is a very specific band that you've got these particular models are going to set up at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, well, it kind of makes sense how you would set up the lines of battle. So your support guys are going to be hanging out at the back, your infiltrators are going to be right up in the front, although I'm guessing it's quite rare to actually get up into that final deployment zone.
Yeah, your forward scouts, things like that might end up with a D deployment zone.
Okay.
But most things end up in that B and C. Very, very slow troops that would take a long time to get anywhere might end up in the A category. Some of your like support artillery type things might end up back there.
Big super heavy dudes, I'm guessing.
Exactly. Well, and actually some of those big super heavies are faster guys as well.
Really?
Because they got long legs.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. Well, we are playing from the new starter set. So this is the 2-player starter set that we're playing against each other.
Correct. Yep. Everything you see here is stuff that comes in the Honor and Treachery 2-player starter. Just fantastically well painted.
Yeah, honestly, I was looking at this whenever you guys came in and went, okay, I don't want to touch studio painted miniatures. I drop models. I'm getting Warren syndrome. I drop models. And you guys turned to me and said, no, that's okay. These are our demo ones. And I'm just like, huh? What? These are your...
We have
okay,
some wonderful people, wonderful artists working for us. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the painters have done a beautiful job. The miniatures have such character to them, and the paint job just really sets them off. So, fantastic job to whoever your painter is.
Yep.
Okay, so I want to start playing.
Okay.
So I've picked my motivation because I'm sort of infiltrating the town. I wanted to go a little bit thematic with it. Am I okay to tell Dave this?
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's open motivations then. Are there any secret ones?
They're not necessarily secret unless you chose it like at the beginning of the game between your friends. You said, let's play motivations hidden.
Aye.
But you can actually, the way the game is written is to play open motivations, because a lot of times the motivations will have you mark an opponent for a reason.
I see.
Put 5 markers on the opponent's infantry.
That just makes a clarity of game.
Yeah, because otherwise it might be, I'm putting markers on your guy. You don't know why. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, well, for me, I've decided to keep it simple. I'm going for assassinate. So, Dave, today my mission is I am going after your leader. If he dies in a turn and I haven't attacked anyone else, or actually is attacked or hurt, and no other enemy was attacked, so if I'm going for that, I can only attack him that turn.
Okay.
But you will lose 2 motivation points from your force if I manage
morale.
that. Oh, 2 morale, sorry.
Yep.
So that could be bad for him, and if I play my cards right and I already have 2 of his dead, I could actually make that 3.
Yeah. Yep. Which actually brings us to his morale pool, because we calculated yours because Dave's force is more rank 1 infantry, more guys. Yeah. He's going to actually calculate at a higher morale.
Okay.
Because he's going to end up starting with 9 models. For every 3 models, you get a morale. So he's going to start with a base of 3.
Okay.
Plus his rank 1 leader to make 4.
Okay.
So at the start of the game, he's actually got 1 up on you when it comes to the number of morale.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is balanced out by the fact that when you guys go to roll initiative here in seconds,
yes.
For the difference in morale, the loser, or the lower end of that morale classification, gets a bonus equal to the difference.
Okay.
So they're more likely to possibly be fighting for the cause, or fighting just a little bit harder because they know they've got to work a little harder to get the opponent.
Okay, I like that little bit of a balancing effect. But okay, I'll tell you what. Let's step away. Let's give our first thoughts on what we plan to do for the turn. Dave, quickly, what is your motivation?
The motivation I've chosen, again, another sort of narrative choice, is stand your ground.
Okay.
So when, if I can move one of my infantry models, or up to 2 of my infantry models, into your leader's sphere of command, which for the scores at alpha is 9 inches, so 9 inch radius.
He's a big wolf. He's howling at the moon.
Howling his commands out. And I can, instead of fighting or something like that, I can do an interact action. I gain a marker.
Okay.
If the following turn, when that model activates, if it has that marker on it, you lose 1 morale.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, I have to be careful with where my leader is, because if I do it too early in the turn, you can wait right to the end of the turn, nip in, get it, and then hopefully activate first next turn.
Exactly.
Okay,
so
gonna have to be careful with that. All right, guys, we'll be back in a second here with our first thoughts. Okay, everybody, turn 1's about to kick off. I'm very happy. I've got the Goritsi, so I've got some nice big chunky wolves to throw up the table into Dave's forces. I'm not sure how they play just yet, but I can only assume they're wolves. So, charge straight up the middle, howl, and maybe bite someone on the ankle. That'll be my turn 1.
Okay, so before I get into turn 1, I've put myself in a great line of Ashman swordsmen. Hopefully I can just advance that line slowly, hold the line, find out where his wolves are going to be coming from. I'm sure some of them are going to try and get around behind me, use their great speed, but we'll see how things go.
Okay, everybody, time to kick into turn 1. Okay, is there a turn limit to this game, just so I know?
Not ingrained into the game itself. It's all based off of the morale. When your opponent is brought to 0 at the end of the turn, if you are not also at 0, then that's a win.
Gotcha. And, okay, so could there be a moment where you actually kill each other?
Yep.
In theory, yeah, it is possible. It's not likely. More often than not, the numbers come down with enough of a scale of difference, but it's possible.
Okay, now you've said that, it's probably going to happen. Okay, so how do we decide who's starting this turn?
Well, you both grab a d10, and you roll your initiative. Higher roller gets to go first, but remember, you get a +1 because of your slight lower morale to start things off.
Yep.
Okay, well, let's see what we get here. So for myself, it's a 3, so that's going to be a +1 to 4.
Yep. And for myself, it's a 9.
And so it begins.
I see where this game is.
Already, yes, victory.
All right, so House Nasier, you get to start things off.
Okay, I'm not sure exactly where your wolves are going to be coming from, so I'm going to do a combined activation.
Okay, now what's that?
In the game, it's a game of alternating activations. Each model can act individually if they want, or if you have a leader nearby, they can get some of their models to activate together.
So is this that sphere of influence you were talking about then?
Correct.
Yep.
Okay.
So the
I was going to say normal leaders have a 6-inch bubble around them that they can give those commands to the models within 6 inches that they share a keyword with.
Yeah.
So not all leaders work with all forces. Sometimes you might specifically need a leader. Like in the case of your alpha, he has the Scorza trait,
Right.
meaning that he can give commands to any of the other Scorzas.
Right, but if I had, say, some of the vampire troops on the tabletop,
They aren't going to listen to him.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay. Well, Dave, do your action.
Okay, so I'm going to combine activate these 3 Ashmen here, and I'm going to advance the line up to here, I think. Now, during the turn, we have 2 ways that we can move. So 2 ways that we can act. There's a maneuver action and an act.
So maneuver action, act action. Gotcha.
You can do them in any order, but it's a combined activation. Each of the models has to do them in the same order, but they can do different things. So maneuver, my Ashmen move 7. I'm going to move these guys up here.
Okay.
And I'm going to stay there. If I wanted to, I could sprint and move another 4 inches, but I don't want to get too far away from my leader.
Yeah, no, that's one thing I'm noticing. The leader is doing a combined activation, but he doesn't need to be part of that?
That's correct.
He can be if he wants to, but in this case, because there's other Ashmen still nearby, Dave's going to leave her back to bark out some orders later, I assume.
Yep. Okay, cool. So it alternates to me then?
It does. Goes
okay,
to
I'm not going to be subtle with this. I'm going to activate my shield breaker first. And my shield breaker moves a speed of 6. So for his first action, he will move to there. Is there a way to get any extra movement out of him?
As part of the act, the maneuver then act, you can do what's called a sprint. And a sprint is normally 4 inches for anybody.
Okay.
Now, something cool about your particular force is the leader that you've chosen. Every force, no matter how many ranks of leader you have, you always choose one to be the kind of the supreme commander of your force.
Yeah.
And they will come with a training ability. And that means that all of your werewolves have been hanging out with your Scorza Alpha long enough that they've all kind of picked up his way that he runs things. And he's extra fast. Instead of sprinting 4 inches, they sprint 6 inches.
Okay, super speedy.
Yep.
So your shield breaker, he's part of this force, even though he's not combined activation or anything like that. He gets to go ahead and sprint a full 6 inches.
Okay, I'm going to have him nip out a further 6 then.
Sure thing.
Now, for the terrain, we did agree that if you're jumping over these, you'll lose an inch of movement.
Yep.
It would have the rough 1 trait.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so whenever you're actually talking about slowing stuff down, you get rough 1, 2, and 3, yeah?
In theory, anything bigger than that would be
silly.
No one would ever be able to move through it. You might as well just call it impassable.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So what he's going to do is, he will move, now he's got 6 total, so he'll move 5 from himself, and just jump over that and snarl at the guys on the other side there as he watches them walk across to him.
Yep.
So, back to yourself, Dave.
Okay. My second activation, I'm going to move I'm going to combine activate with the the other 3 of my Ashmen here,
Mm-hmm.
and they will also advance, so continue to move that line forward.
Mm-hmm. So I am just seeing a wall of swords coming towards me. Now, is it specifically those guys that Dave has to use to actually complete his objective, or can his specialist do it as well?
No, this one, for my motivation, is specifically infantry. So
Right.
these are my infantry, these are my specialists, and this is my leader.
Okay, they die first.
Yes.
Yeah, if you can manage to kill all 6 of those off, his motivation will be worthless.
Yeah. Okay, so for my next activation, I'm going to go for the Scourge Hound
Okay.
to actually get things rolling here. She has a movement of 7, but she's instantly having to go over one of these sets of crates, so that'll bring her down to 6 to start with. So I will just have her run up and forward to here, just behind the building. And, no, do I? Yeah, I'm going to have her sprint the further 6 up to here, because I have a plan, a cunning plan. As cunning as a fox. No, wolf.
He's a wolf.
Yeah, so back to yourself, Dave.
Okay. I am now going to activate my leader.
Mm-hmm.
And bring my leader up. Here, he moves 7 as well. So up there to keep all of those infantry within his command range, which is the radius of 6.
Yeah, okay. Right, for myself, I'm then going to activate my scores at Alpha.
Okay.
And how many people can I get to come along with him on a combined activation?
It is based off of the leadership value of the model.
Okay.
And,
so where is this?
No, it's from the size of the game.
I was going to say correct.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the leadership that we've chosen for this is a little bit smaller than the standard patrol size that we have in the book. So command value for this is 3.
Okay, so I can activate up to 3. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to use him to activate my 3 scores of skirmishers and get them on the move.
One thing I just want to sort of follow up there as well. We talked a lot about ranks earlier, and rank 1 and rank 2. In this command basis, it's based on models.
Models, not rank.
Not ranks.
Okay.
So you can move your 3 rank 2 models.
Yeah.
I can still only move 3 rank 1 models.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
So that's clever. Okay, so my 3 rank 2 scores of skirmishers are 7 speed, so one will run up to here, 1 to here, and the last one is just going to come across to here. So basically, I'm letting my leader hang out, chill out at the back. I don't want you getting within that 9 of them too early in the game.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that I'm sending up enough that's going to give you bother.
Now, they've done their maneuver. Did they want to take an action?
I don't want them to sprint. Is there anything else they could be doing?
In this instance, because you don't have a motivation that says they can do things in the deployment zone or anything like that, their card does not have anything that says that they have an extra action they can do. No, if you don't want to sprint, they're pretty much done.
No, their action is just to sit there and snuff the air, going, "What's tasty nearby?" So back to you, Dave.
These guys with the red masks, they're tasty.
Yes,
right?
yes. I smell fire elementals. Lunch.
Okay, something's burning. Okay, I'm going to activate my Rathor. Over here, who's hiding behind this building.
Yeah. Seeing a big guy on your side, that kind of worries me. I'm worried that he's going to come in and punch my face.
Well, one of the wonderful things about the Rathor is that he does have that look. He's going to look like he's superimposing. He's actually my shaman.
Oh.
And he's going to try and blast you with a magical blast. But
spellcaster for tea.
Yeah.
Looking at in Wrath of Kings, you can pre-measure
any time.
Mm-hmm.
So I now know that with my range of 8, I know where I need to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I can make it this turn. He has a movement of 6.
Yeah.
So I'm going to move him up to here.
Okay.
And I will leave him there for this
okay.
action.
Yeah, so basically, whenever it comes down to figuring out those sort of charge distances and stuff, you can be a little more careful with it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like that idea. Okay, the last thing I have to activate is my alpha, and he is just going to trundle up to about here to stay within range of his guys.
I really am going to have to run to get him, man. Get in that sphere of influence.
I am going to leave you running after him the whole game if you want to complete that motivation until I find an opening to hit your leader.
Fantastic. Okay.
Well, that's what I'm thinking anyway. But we'll save that for the mid-game or the mid-turn chats.
Right. Yeah.
So
okay.
You're next.
Okay. And the final model I have to activate is my Longhorn over here.
Yeah.
My Longhorn has a movement of 7.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to advance him up.
Yeah.
So he's behind this building here.
Yeah. I'm I'm looking at my shield breaker here and thinking, if I can get turn 1 next turn, that's, oh, yummy, yummy.
That could be a tasty target for you.
Yeah, it could be. Although I'm guessing, is he a big melee bruiser because he's rocking about with the sword and board?
He is.
Okay.
I was going to say, although he is slightly smaller of stature than the shaman, the Longhorn is built for beating. He's very, very strong. He hits like a truck.
Okay.
His whole deal is running in and smashing apart formations. So.
Right.
Which he does well.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I assume that is our round 1 done?
That is.
Everything's been activated on both sides, and so round 1 would be over, and you would then roll initiative for the next round.
All right. Well, we'll step away. We'll give a little chat about how we think turn 1 went, and we'll be right back.
So turn 1's mostly a lot of setting up of the forces and getting into position, and I think that both forces have done a good job of making sure that they are ready for turns 2, 3, and 4. But in all honesty, I think that Justin's actually hanging back a little farther than what he had originally said he was going to do, but I think it's going to work out actually for the best for him. Is Dave's line is moving up as a front side wall, and Justin's got to try and kill all of that infantry so he can't score his motivation and get past it to get to the leader so he can get his. So I really think that in turns 2 and 3, we're going to see the werewolves kind of sweep in from the side and deal with that infantry pretty quickly, as long as the dice, come out the way they're supposed to.
Okay, so turn 1 has went pretty much as I expected. Dave is marching up his infantry. I'm seeing this big wave of guys who can complete that motivation for him. I'm a little worried about it. That's why I've sent my shield breaker straight up to sort of distract him a little bit. I'm hoping he'll advance a little bit too far, and then my other character, my other specialist, can sweep in from the side, because she has some really nice special abilities. Now, Dave has played this before, so he's probably seeing it coming, so he's probably moving to counter me already. I'm going to have to watch out for whatever he's trying to do. Other than that, I've got my skirmishers moving up in a nice little pack. My leader's hanging back. If there's an opening, my leader might go in for something, but he's not going to be running out there, front of the line going, follow me. He's going to be going, nope, you guys run up that way. You're doing a good job. Okay, there's an opening there. Now I'm going to bite him in the neck. I'll see you in a sec.
Okay, turn 1 there. I'm really surprised by Justin holding back like that. I think he's a little bit too scared. He's been scared by the motivation that I've chosen. I'm going to have to be a bit more aggressive than I was originally planning, so we'll see how things go.
Okay, time to kick off for the second round of the game. Back to initiative then, yeah?
Grab your dice.
Okay, so let's see what we get. 4, so that becomes a 5.
Becomes a 5.
And a 2.
2 is 2.
Nice. So,
all right, Justin gets the first activation.
No! Perfect. So, what would I like to do first? You know what? The time for subtlety is long gone. Shieldbreaker, activate.
Okay.
Shieldbreaker has his movement of 6 and a melee reach of 2. So he is going to move so that he's just a couple inches away from you and give you a smack. So if I go
very
to this
clever.
angle, and I'll lift this off so that we can see this budding fight, because this terrain doesn't matter right now. So we're having a bit of a fight here.
Yep.
How does fighting work?
All right. So on the back of your card, on
Okay.
your shield breaker,
Yep.
He has a listed attack, whether it's melee, ranged, magic, or will.
So he's got a huge axe.
He's got a huge axe. It's a melee strike, which means you have to be within range. That last number on the card is the number of inches that you have that you need to be able to be within to be able to swing.
That reach of 2.
In this case, you have a 2-inch reach, which is huge for a melee strike in this game. Most melee strikes have a range of 00, which means base-to-base contact.
Yeah, okay. It's generating 2 dice, and then it's got a couple of abilities here. So it's got Sundering 1. One of the things you'll notice with this game, guys, is these cards here have symbols on them for the actual damage.
The defense chart of every model is different based off of how they would defend themselves. Whether it's shield, armor, dodging, parrying, it's all different types of defenses and keep themselves from getting hurt.
Yeah, see, this is one of the things I like. You're saying, look, everyone here is a competent warrior. They will hit. It's just finding out what happens when I do hit. So in this case, it's knocking out 1 armor from Dave for his Sundering 1.
Okay. Fortunately, my Longhorn doesn't have armor.
Right. It's also got follow through, which knocks off a block.
Okay, I do have a block. I have 2 block results. So the one that you'll be knocking off or switching to a hit to a strike is 5.
Always the topmost goes away first. And it doesn't go away, it becomes a hit.
Yeah. Okay, so I will roll here, and we'll see what we get. So 2 4s.
2 4s. That's the lower of my 2 blocks.
Oh, rage.
So I've blocked.
So that little tiny shield that he's got up, ding, ding.
Yeah, so he's a big guy, but he's pretty nippy on his feet.
He is. He is indeed.
So believe I've moved, I've acted. That's my activation.
That's activation, unless he has something special that happens when he is blocked, which is unlikely.
No, he's got Howl from Beyond and Intimidating Presence.
Yeah.
So
in this case, nothing nothing that affects your action.
Yeah. So off to you, Dave.
Okay. I think I will also go for this crazy great big battle there.
All right. So we're
all right. How are we doing?
That's song for you, and you're ready to swing back.
I'm curious to see where everything else is coming first.
Ah, I see the tactic.
I need you to activate over here first.
Dave's trying to confuse everyone and make him think that he's tactical.
Okay, so I assume the big guy is moving in, or does he have a melee range as well?
He doesn't have a range, but he is moving in.
Mm-hmm.
He is going to use his maneuver to get into contact with you.
Yep.
He's to move up.
Right. Now, is there any facing in this game, or is it just 360?
It's 360 facing, as far as whether you're considered to be able to move on your feet and deal with your
light
threats.
And nimble. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Now, because you've moved into melee, I'm wondering, do either of my abilities activate here? Enemies engaged with this model must make a will check 1 when performing attack actions. On a failure, their attack suffers a -1 to a minimum of 0.
Okay.
So in this case, when the Longhorn says, "I'm going to swing at you," which I'm assuming is happening now.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, first I will do. I wanted to do for my action is going to be a special action.
Oh, right.
Which I have clear path. This is when I talked about breaking up formations before. Obviously, one model isn't a formation, but I can still use it here.
Mm-hmm.
Enemies within 2 inches of this model are forced 3 inches away.
Okay.
In the order of the model's choosing. This model may then move up to 4 inches and perform one of its melee attacks.
Ah,
so it kind of comes down, horns down, and bucks them back a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
So here,
Okay. So if you want to move him,
I'm going to move you back 3 inches. Okay. And I'm going to follow up 4 inches, so I'm still in contact with you.
Mm-hmm.
Now would come to the point where I'm
attacking. Okay.
And something where this comes into really that sort of thing. Well, people might ask, why is he moving this guy around if he's just, there is no formation to break up. It could be very helpful with some of the other motivations to get my guy a little further into your deployment zones.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter where I'm hitting you. I'm just using this to get the extra movement to get closer to your table edge.
Now, Dave, do you actually have to move into contact to actually get that ability, or can you start in combat and use that ability? Because if you could use that from whenever you're starting in combat, you could throw someone out of the way and then go after a target behind, which would be very clever.
It's just it applies to any models within 2 inches.
Right.
Yeah. So it's absolutely, you can use it as a bomb to knock people out of the way, and then I'm going after the leader. It's a great tactic.
Yeah, great table control from that. So you're
here.
attacking?
I'm just trying to keep you away from my infantry.
Mm-hmm.
That guy's going to be brutal against my infantry.
Yeah. So you're attacking, so you have to do a will check.
A will check. So
which of the stats along the bottom is that?
The little symbol is the fire, the fires of will inside you.
Mm-hmm.
It has a number, and that number he needs to roll equal to or less than to pass that will check.
I see. Well.
Okay, so for mine, I have a will of 5. So 5 or less.
5 or less, and
50-50.
He is unaffected by your scary wolf self.
Okay.
6.
6. So I am affected by your scary wolf self.
So your attack rolls now gain a -1.
Okay, so does it read attack rolls or actual number of dice?
Actually it's -1
So
die.
it's actually completely 1 die less. So now where this comes into effect is if he only had 1 die, like if he was just a basic infantry trying to poke you and fails that roll, he has 0 dice, he can't hit you.
Okay, I may ignore you and start running away after your infantry. Then.
Could be a good idea for you.
I may have been a little too gung-ho getting the big guy into combat there.
Well, the great thing in my Longhorn usually has 3 dice. Now I'm down to 2.
That's still quite hefty.
Yep.
So if you want to roll.
Okay, I will roll. Before I roll, I'll let you know I have Sundering 1, which replaces one of your armor with a strike.
Okay, so that knocks off my 7, bringing it down to number 6.
Okay, and I have Unrelenting, so I replace a parry. A dodge.
Don't have any dodges.
Okay,
He's
so just the Sundering.
big and heavy and relying on the iron.
Okay, let's see how we go.
2 out of 7. So the 2 has got a magical defense marker on it.
Because a lot of the things in Wrath of Kings are inherently magical by how they were created or armed. They have these defenses kind of built in.
Yeah.
In this case, it's just a melee strike, so you're just sort of warding off the attack.
Okay.
If it was a magical attack, hitting a magical ward, the opponent actually immediately has to make a will save or take a wound. It's called magical backlash.
Okay.
Yep.
And then the 7, because of you breaking down one of my armor points, I actually take a wound.
Yep.
So I will mark that on the tabletop here. Just put a little wound marker beside him. So
All good.
He thankfully has 3 wounds.
Yep.
You're going to have to work at it to bring him down.
Now, real quick, since this is the first time that we actually saw the hit take place, on your card you have a shield on the front of your card. That is your resilience.
Oh, right. 1.
For every 1 hit that you suffer when someone attacks you, you take a wound of damage.
Okay.
There are lots of models in the game that have a resilience of 2, which means if in this case he only hits you once, if you had a resilience of 2, you would have taken no damage.
Right. So you would have to do a minimum of 2 to do 1?
Correct.
Yep. Or would 2 the 2 do 2?
2 hits will do 1 damage.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so 3 hits only do 1 damage, but a 4th hit does 2, so forth and so on.
Okay. That's interesting because it changes the dynamic of how you're going to hit someone, what you're going to put against them. Because if Dave saw me with someone with a 2 resilience, he's hardly going to send a lot, more than 1 or 2 of his infantry into it.
Exactly.
Unless he's not going to send less than that.
Exactly. He's going to always try and deal with it in groups because those combined actions are the only way to kind of overcome that resilience.
Get extra attacks.
Yeah. Well, combined actions we'll see a little later in this game, hopefully.
Yep.
So you've now went.
Yep.
So it's back to me. I'm going to do something which I think is clever, but we'll see. I'm going to activate my Scourge Hound.
Okay.
And what she's going to do is she's going to move her 7 and run through here. And she then has a special ability. Now, I'm popping this a little early, but I'm worried about my shield breaker after that happened. So I'm thinking, charge her across, let's get some support on the go.
Yep.
So she has an ability called Bounding Flourish. So basically she gets an additional move of 6 inches, and any enemies that she crosses over in that movement, she actually gets to hit, but she can't finish on top of an enemy model, yeah?
Correct. That's correct.
Okay, so I'm going to try and do that.
Okay.
So from here, there's 6 inches.
So she starts her cartwheel of knives and teeth.
Yeah, and just about hits your base.
Just clips you enough
to hit.
Yep.
Yeah. And if I can get that to sit. So hopefully that'll be a regular melee attack from her then, yeah?
Correct.
That's correct.
So her melee attack is a set of Vicious Blades, which is a 2 dice attack with a range 00. It's got Unrelenting 1, so replace one of your dodges with a hit.
Okay, I do have a dodge, and that is my 6.
Okay.
So 6 to 9 gives you a strike, and a 10 gives you the overpower.
Okay, let's see if I can do some damage. 1 and a 2.
1 and a 2.
Wow, I love these dice.
Parry.
I love these dice. Oh, blast. Because you parried, does that mean you get to attack back or something?
No, with my Longhorn it doesn't, but my Ashmen is somebody you're going to be very careful with.
Yeah.
Okay.
Master swordsmen, they have the ability when they parry, they get to get a
free shot back?
A free swing.
Counter strike.
Yeah, okay. Oh, well, these things happen.
This is true.
Back to yourself then, Dave.
Okay.
I have the horrible feeling my Scourge Hound is about to be charged.
I think that's probably the best idea for me here. Let me see. Check my range. Okay. Yes, I will. For my activation, I'll combined activate with these 3 Ashmen. They'll maneuver first, so I will get them up into contact.
Yep.
What's her resilience?
She's actually reasonably squishy. She has a dodge up to 5, but a 6 or more will wound.
I'm sorry, her resilience value.
Oh, her resilience is 1.
Is 1,
so that's
okay.
the little blue shield, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that means my 1 hit from them will cause 1 wound on her.
Yeah.
Correct.
If I'm successful in a strike. He can't quite get into base, so I'm going to move up behind this model, and I'll be using an assist.
Okay.
Which adds 1 dice to that front model's combat.
Okay, so basically the front 2 guys can fight, and because you're in base contact with one of them, you can throw in an extra dice?
Yep.
When they do their combined action of I am all fighting, remember as a combined action everyone has to take part of the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
In this instance, the other guys are helping one guy.
Right, I see.
Stab.
I see. And how many attack dice do they get?
They have 1 each. They do have an ability called Duelist. What the Ashmen really like to do is be able to fight one-on-one. That's the honorable way.
Right.
So if I am fighting one-on-one, I get to roll 1 dice, I roll a second dice, and I choose the best one.
Oh,
the best
that's
result.
quite good.
Yeah. So it's basically adding 1 dice, then taking 1 dice away.
Yeah, but it's giving you those 2 chances to get a nice high roll.
That little
get
edge.
That critical.
Exactly.
That extra edge,
So,
exactly.
yeah, they had that nice feeling of Master Swordsman. I like it.
This one here, when they're fighting together, they don't have that extra bonus dice.
I see.
because I could have gone in and put in sort of 2 assists like this.
Mm-hmm.
If my Longhorn hadn't been there,
Yeah.
I would get that duelist ability. But because he's already in contact there.
All right, so they don't mind ganging up, but if another unit's there,
they lose some of their special benefit.
Okay, that's fine. But as it stands, this is still going to be quite the meaty hit.
Fingers crossed it will.
All right, well, roll away.
Okay,
so basic swordsman starts with 1 die.
Yep.
And he's got 2 friends helping, so he's getting the 2 extra dice.
Yep.
There we go. So I will roll those. I rolled a 1 and a 2.
Yep. Out of 10.
And a 10 we haven't dealt with yet. That is an overpower result on the defense chart, and that means it's a critical hit, and you take 2 hits instead of 1.
Yeah, she only has 2 health points with the 1 resilience.
Which means she just took that swordsman walked up and gave her what for?
Yeah. Well, you see, I kind of had a feeling that might happen, but I was just so worried about the shield wolf or the shield breaker. I felt I had to send something in to help him.
Yeah.
Oh well.
What it's done is, though, it's pulled those 3 models away from.
You're the main thrust of your force.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to see what happens now because it's now my activation.
Correct.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to activate my 3 scores of skirmishers and get them moving further up the field. So from where they are back here, they've got 7 inches. So I'm going to place 1 to here, 1 to here, and the last one to here. And then they're all going to go for a sprint to get a little bit further. So this one is going to go out wide this way.
Now, are they going to take advantage of their fast from the training?
They are.
Okay.
They
So
are,
moving
but
up to 6
basically
inches.
I'm not wanting to move the full 6.
Okay.
So I'm basically wanting to block off some lines of attack here. And then whenever I bring my alpha up, there's enough to defend there and maybe push on through whatever's happening. So Dave's setting up his battle lines. I'm trying to set up something of mine.
Yep.
We'll see if it works.
Okay.
Your activation.
Activation back to me. I am going to activate my Rathor over here, my other specialist.
Yep.
Hiding behind these market stalls. He will. I mentioned before he's my shaman, so I'll going to start with an attack. Actually,
Okay.
attack on you. He has an 8-inch range for his attack.
Yep.
And so he's a Friendly Blast. Also has an ability called Bounce. So Bounce 1. When the dice for this attack are assigned, the model may assign an additional die to up to 1 additional enemy within 3 inches of the target.
Okay.
So I'm going to try and hit him and hit this one.
Okay.
Now these attacks are only 1 die each.
Yeah.
I think your skirmishers have 2 wounds.
They have 2 wounds, but they are resilience 1.
Right.
Okay.
So neither of these would kill unless I get an overpower.
Yeah.
Result.
So first one.
So first target.
First one here. There we go. A 2.
2.
What kind of defense is that on a Scores of Skirmisher?
A magical defense.
No way.
It is a magical defense against a magical attack. This is what we were talking about, that whole backlash earlier.
Yeah.
So now your Rathor needs to make a will check or just take a wound. It's not a hit, it's an actual wound. Even if he was Resilience 2, he would still take the wound from a backlash.
I see.
Okay.
what you have.
I'll move this terrible 2 out of the way.
Yeah.
And, oh dear, this is not good. Okay, my Rathor is 6. So 6 or less. 5.
He's fine.
You're fine.
Okay,
All right.
I'm going to take a wound there.
You then have your second attack.
The bounce onto this guy.
Yeah, so roll a 1 or 2 again.
I'm getting all nervous now, knocking over buildings. Okay, here we go. A 3.
A 3 on a Scores of Skirmisher. What is that?
That is a dodge.
So it's just a regular, everyday dodge.
Okay.
So he
The
saw his
dodge,
mate with a big fireball flying towards him, and he thought, no, duck.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Well, that didn't work out how I was hoping. So
You still have your movement, yeah?
I still have my maneuver. I'm going to pull back a little bit. I'm going to maneuver back to here, 6 inches.
Okay.
Check out the other fruit stand.
Yes.
No,
gonna be something
the
tasty
produce
there.
of this one doesn't look good enough.
It's obviously rotten.
Yeah. Okay, so it's back to my activation.
It is.
Okay, so I'm going to activate my alpha, and he is going to move in off the docks, his 7 inches. And I'm going to pre-measure to see, yep, he's still in, so he doesn't even need to do a sprint, so he's just sitting there growling, sniffing, looking for prey.
Okay, now that you are advancing forward. I'm going to do a combined activation here with my Ashmen. I'm going to check and see how far away you are, or where your 9-inch radius of influence goes to. So,
whoops,
around here.
Blast.
I've got to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I may have to retreat a little next turn.
No, not necessarily.
Or just murder them.
Murder them.
Maybe.
Is another way that you can do it. Here, I'm going to move this guy to here.
Is that putting him within?
That puts him within the 9.
Okay.
This one will maneuver to here. It also puts him within the 9. And then finally, this one will maneuver to here. I think that puts him within 9.
Okay. Curses.
I have, for this motivation, I have a marker pool containing a number of markers equal to twice the total ranks of leaders.
Yep.
1 rank of leader, 2 markers.
Okay.
This Ashman is going to take an interact action to gain the marker.
Okay.
So he's digging in his heels and making fun of your alpha and saying, "You can't come get me.
You can't get me." And this one here will also take that marker.
Yikes.
So those are out in play now. If you don't kill these guys and I activate next turn, 1 morale for each of those tokens.
Yeah. I'm going to have to hope to get lucky with my activations next turn. We'll see what happens.
If you do kill them, those markers return to my pool.
Okay.
And
they can be used again later, potentially.
Okay.
But when I activate these models and they use the token, those are burnt, basically. They don't go back in the pool.
Okay. Right, well, I assume that's...
Well, you've activated all of your things, so now you pass.
Yes.
This is probably one of the most elegant parts of Wrath of Kings. You have passed. Your opponent still has things to activate. So then it immediately goes back to Dave, but he gets 1 last activation.
I see. So this counterbalances someone taking a horde of rank 1 guys, having to use those combined actions to make them work?
Absolutely.
Yep. Gotcha.
So in this case, his Ashman Hakar is the last one left to activate, so he's getting to actually make an activation after your pass, but that isn't always the case.
Yeah, but with the way things are now standing, over here, these Ashmen have run away, and if he comes to support these, they may not activate altogether next turn.
Precisely.
Which means suddenly that activation efficiency goes way down.
Exactly.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
The larger the game, the larger the force that you're taking, the more important your leaders become to be able to put your full force into the act.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Right, well, Dave, your last activation for this turn?
The last activation is my leader. We've just been talking about him. I'm going to maneuver my leader to... If I can get into this point, he still has... Actually, I'm moving to just around here. He's still within 6 of all my infantry there.
Yeah.
I know that these guys are targets, obviously, now, but I think that's going to be the best spot for him to keep me able to combined activate my models.
Okay. All right, well, that's the second round down, guys. We'll step away and we'll talk about how we think it went.
All right, so turn 2, we definitely saw some blood. We had some weird dice when it came up to overpowers at the worst possible time. But I think that Justin's in a really, really good spot to turn the tide in a huge way. Dave's leader's exposed. Those 2 counters could be a big deal if they manage to activate. He's got all of his skirmishers, and skirmishers hit really hard. I think he's in a really good spot to sweep in, but initiative is going to be massive for him. On the other side, Dave has got the shield breakers on, outnumbered. He's on the wrong side of the field, and he's close enough where he can just drop that morale really fast. So we'll see how that's going to go.
Okay, bit of a tactical blunder for myself. I have allowed Dave to pick up 2 of those possible points. I'm going to need to be very careful, hope to get the initiative on this turn. If I do, I have an option. I can either stop him getting the 2 morale off my side, or I can go after his leader, but that means I have to let him take 2 from me. I can stop him, or I can go for my own. It's a bit of a toss-up, but we'll see what happens.
Okay, that was a much better round for me. I got quite lucky taking out the Scourge Hound, which I was happy about, but also being able to put those 2 markers down for my stand your ground motivation. I think that's got Justin a little bit rattled. We'll see how it goes, but I'm really hoping for the initiative this turn. If I can get that, things are going to look rosy.
All right, guys, round 3. Time for the all-important initiative for this one.
Now, our morale is still the same. It's still 3 to 4, so you still get the +1.
Yeah.
As you have not lost enough models to start reducing your morale yet.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's going to save my butt this turn. Let's see what we get. A 10.
How about an 11?
Did I beat the 11 with my... I got a 6. I didn't quite do it. Okay. Super lucky. Okay.
Rock and roller. Okay,
We need the 10s.
what I need to do is I need to do a combined activation of my skirmishers, right?
Yep.
So this skirmisher, this skirmisher, this skirmisher are all going to activate. Now, Dave, at the minute I have a choice. I could go after your leader for my own motivation. I'm not going to. So this one's going into melee.
Yep.
This one's got 7 inches to run out and around and reach the other guy. So whoop,
Yep.
around to here. And the last guy is going to go into this. So hopefully I can knock out 3 of your guys this turn and knock your morale by 1.
Yep.
We'll see if this works. So my skirmishers in combat.
Okay.
They have follow through, which is knocking off one of your blocks, if you have any.
With my swordsman, I have no blocks.
Okay. So the attack is brutal savagery for each of these guys. It is a 2 dice attack. They are each in their own individual combat. So I assume each one's getting an attack.
2 dice, and then you go to the next guy, 2 dice, and then, yeah.
Right. Important thing is the first time each turn this model kills an enemy with this attack, it gets to move and perform a 1 dice attack.
Yep.
So these things are pretty nasty now that they're in combat.
Exactly. They can sweep through small groups of guys very easily.
Yeah. So for the first guy over here.
Yep.
5 and a 6.
5 and a 6. You've got a dodge and a dodge.
Blast. For the next guy.
Yep.
4 and a 1.
4 and a 1. 4 is a dodge. 1 is a parry.
Yes, and you'll get to swing back.
Because of their counterattack.
My counterattack result is
I'm changing dice.
when a parry is generated against this model and this model is not killed, I can perform one of its melee attacks against you.
Okay. So you will get your bonus of having 2 dice and removing 1, yes?
That's correct, because we are
Because they're
1-on-1.
one-on-one.
Yep. So this could be horrifying. See what you get.
Okay. I will take away the 9.
Because you got 2 9s.
And leave you with a 9.
Which is a single point of damage.
Yep.
But your scores they have 2 wounds.
Yes. So
2
this
hit
guy
points.
takes a
3
wound.
points.
This is not looking good. So the last guy's attack, which is over here.
Yep.
2 5s.
2 5s. Again, on my swordsman, 5s are dodge.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
So
I'm changing these dice next turn. Let me just roll 1 set of these.
Okay, of course, now is when the great dice come down.
Yes. As always, Dave, I'm sure you remember the last time. Dice gods, why?
I know what's going on. Yeah, that was
That was unfortunate. I had hoped to kill at least one of those guys.
6 dice being rolled, all of them 6 or less.
Yeah.
One of them being causing a parry on me, for me to be able to attack back
Successfully.
Yeah.
Which was not a good roll instead of rolling there.
Mm-hmm. That's unfortunate for me, but that's my dice rolling, not the mechanics themselves.
Yep. So that's going to make my activation now a little bit more bitter for you.
Yeah.
Because I will do a combined activation
Yep.
with my swordsman here,
Yep.
which means that
Both of those stand your ground tokens
Yeah.
go into effect, reducing your morale pool from 3 to 1.
Take those away. They are burnt. I have completed that. I can place no more tokens.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
should have went after his leader.
Well, I was kind of hoping that you would kill that first Ashman and then use the skirmish
that's-
move to
that's
get over
what I
there and
was
get
hoping.
the extra swing.
That's what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
But the problem was it had to be the leader and only the leader that I would have killed that turn.
Exactly.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay. Here.
Mm-hmm.
Fight first.
Yep.
So I roll we're still 1-on-1, so
Yeah,
2 dice.
that's the one thing that's sort of balancing this out for me is now I've got all 3 of those locked in combat.
Exactly.
So you can't do your special action to get another set of those tokens this turn and finish me.
Yep.
So, gone ahead.
Okay, so I roll my 2 dice and pick the best.
Uh-huh.
A 2 and an 8.
Okay.
So my swordsman will go for the 8.
The 8.
Well, then also, real quick, it's actually important. His pool of tokens was a set number at the beginning of the game based on his leaders.
I see.
He couldn't ever get more tokens now that he's used those 2.
I burnt those 2.
If he would have killed them, they would go back to his pool because his motivation says so.
All right, so he only had those 2, or
He
he
had those,
back in those?
They're gone.
They're gone. So he cannot do that again.
The only way to get rid of your last morale is by killing your troops. It's all he can do.
Okay, that's actually fine with me now. So I've taken that on the chin, so I know what I'm doing next.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so you got 1 wound there.
Yep.
So I will have to mark that on my poor little pup. So there it is there.
Okay, now combat here.
Yeah, so you're going, we've taken combat here, you're now going combat here.
Yep.
This guy's already wounded, so you might finish him off. And you do.
A 2 and an 8. So 8 can cause another wound.
Yep, so another one bites the dust. Farewell, friend, go to Valhalla.
The wound, and the final.
Yep, your final set of attacks in here.
Roll 2 dice and pick the best.
Yep.
I will take the 9.
That'll be another wound.
Oh, sorry, I just took that
You're
away from
okay.
you.
So another wound goes down here. Wow.
And that is my activation.
Right.
Oh, actually, what I can do here is
You can disengage if you like.
actually my
The middle guy's not engaged anymore.
not engaged anymore, so I can actually maneuver with him, or I could disengage with the others as well. So
That's one thing I like about this game. You're not locked in combat. You know,
Correct.
so
Your movement is reduced down to 3 inches when you go to do the disengage.
Yeah.
In this case, that middle guy doesn't have to disengage. He's going to get his full 7 if he wants it.
Yeah.
Here I'm not going to disengage
Uh-huh.
from you because I'm quite happy to be one-on-one. That's where the Ashmen want to have those honorable fights.
Yeah.
I will have a move this Ashman back to the center here to give me a little bit more flexibility.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so for my next activation, I'm obviously going to activate the Shield Breaker. So we're going back to this fight down the front here. He will do his standard attack, but I think he gets an additional one. So Howl from Beyond, when this model begins its activation, make a will attack 1 against each enemy within 1 inches of it.
Yep.
So for each time you fail, you take a damage.
Okay, so I have to do that will check like I did before. My will for my Longhorn is a 5. So I need to roll 5.
So 5 or less, or you take a point of damage.
Yep.
6.
All right. So Longhorn is taking a point of damage because of the Howl from Beyond.
Yep. And then I get my 2 dice attack.
Yep.
And we'll see what we get here. 9 and a 7.
Okay, 7. Yeah, 7 is a strike and 9 is a strike. So I take 2 more
So you
wounds.
take 2 more wounds, and I think
My Longhorn has 3. So that Howl from Beyond was very important.
was actually perfect.
Yeah, it's the one thing I say to everybody. If a game has like stat cards and stuff, always give them a glance. Because
Read the whole
before we
card.
started filming, I quickly flipped each card to have a quick read through them just to get some of the rules quickly bedded into myself.
Well, and as people start collecting forces, it's very important for the leaders specifically. A lot of the leaders will have just the stat because they're referring to the type of troop that they are normally leading.
Yeah.
It'll be like, you've got this skill and this skill, but it's not listed on the card because they've got a lot more stuff as leaders.
Yeah.
So you got to go back to what that other card is and go, okay, cool. Oh my God, this guy's even that much cooler.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
absolutely, you got to read your cards.
Yeah, but that's one of the things I'm noticing. The scores at Alpha is pretty much always going to run with scores of skirmishers because they work well together. So you're going to have those rules in front of you.
Well, and then there's also other scores of models that are available, including with stuff that came out with the next book, that sort of thing. As long as it's got that keyword, as long as it's got the scores of trait, he can be used to deliver actions to them and say, go get them.
Yeah, although I will say I definitely do agree that the specialists shouldn't have it because the specialists, they're sort of the more heroic guys who should be able to run off and do their own thing.
At this time in the game, there's only one specialist that can be part of a combined activation, and that's kind of the job of that model.
Yeah. All right, so the next thing that I'm going to do is my shield breaker still has its movement. So I'm going to have him move 7 inches. Straight through into here in base contact with both.
Okay.
And it means that you're having to choose, do I disengage my leader and lose the movement? Or do I keep him in there, have him attack, and not get the bonus for the single combat?
Yep. Okay.
And then don't forget to take his blood with you.
Oh, yes. Always take your wounds with you.
Okay then, so you're moving in against my Akara, my swordsman?
Yep.
Who are you going to?
No, he already swung.
Oh, sorry,
this is maneuver in.
He killed me there.
Yeah, so basically I killed your big guy, but because I still have my movement, I figured, you know what, I can use this to lock you down and pin you down.
I think because he's such a big and brutal model that I'm just expecting him that wherever he moves.
No matter where he goes, there's going to be
The axe
death and
randomly
destruction.
flails into your face.
It's like, as soon as you touch me, things die. That kind of thing. Okay, so the other thing I'm going to need to be careful of is the howl.
No, it's intimidating presence you have to worry about this time.
Oh, for me able to hit you.
Yeah, so it automatically is going to give your leader a will test as well. So even though I'm not fit to attack, I've still got abilities there.
Exactly.
So I think I've done right with that. I think I've done right.
It's a good move.
It's good.
So your activation, Dave, who do you have left?
I have my, this turn I have my Rathor, I have my Ashman, and I have my Hakar.
Okay.
So
this is where things are going to get a little more difficult for Dave, because now I only have my alpha left to go. So
Exactly.
this turn you're not going to get to activate something, I think.
not going to get to activate everybody.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be important to move my Hakar out of there. So
Would you like to take the swing at him first? Because I can't hit back at this point. You may as well have it.
yeah. Unless I wanted to go somewhere else and swing somewhere else.
Ah, I see what you're thinking. Yeah, because you could move out 3 and still attack.
Yep. I think what I'll do here first, though, is I will combine to activate my Ashmen. I will bring them in against your shield breaker.
Yeah.
So 3 of them are going to come in and try and bail out their Hakar.
Yeah. A very wise move.
And because your resilience is 1, any of my hits will cause a wound.
Now, of course, if this doesn't work, your Hell from Beyond will be amazing.
Well, actually,
Thanks.
Hey, no worries.
You're absolutely correct.
so just so I'm clear on the intimidating presence as well, though, enemies engaged with this model make a will check.
Correct.
So
when he goes to
they are now
swing,
engaged.
they'll have to. When he says, "I'm going to swing at you,"
Nice.
he'll make a will check. Otherwise, that dice comes down.
So this is quite the risk as well.
Yep.
I can live with this.
So actually, yeah, it's pretty good. I have a will of 5, so 50-50 chance of me being able to swing. So I'll start with, I'll do all of my will checks together.
Now, are you doing one swing, or is this 3 separate swings?
3 separate swings.
Okay.
Okay.
Will check here. He's fine.
He's okay.
Will check in the center.
Not so much.
Not so good. And will check here. Not so much. I have 1 attack at you then. Okay, so rolling my 1 die.
Yep. And do your guys have 2 wounds each, or is it just the 1?
Mine have 1.
Right. So I think that actually means I've knocked your morale down by 1 because 2 of those have now died by taking a wound.
It is number of models.
Yes.
No,
so I've taken it as big
This
guy.
intimidating presence just means I can't attack you.
Oh yes, sorry, it's -1 attack.
Correct.
Sorry, I thought it was the
howl.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if they're still there next turn and you howl,
Yeah.
I could possibly lose all of those.
Yeah.
It could be
okay.
terrible.
Sorry.
For him, anyway.
Not a problem.
Yeah. Okay. So
Okay.
you're getting your 1 attack.
1 attack. An 8.
Oof.
The shield breaker, an 8.
It's a hit.
Is a regular everyday hit.
Regular everyday hit.
So he takes 1 damage.
Yes, he does.
How many hit points does he have?
3.
All right. So he's still up and about.
Still kicking.
Yep.
So your
Okay.
commander may be forced to it.
I think here, initially what I was thinking would be to disengage and come over here and try and kill this model.
Yeah.
But then I realized, of course, I can't do that this turn. I'd have to try and attack him next turn.
Yeah. So
I'm much better off here to have my swings
yeah.
at your Scourge Hound. Sorry, your Shield Breaker.
Yeah. Okay. So gonna activate my leader. He's got his move of 7, so he's now not got to worry about moving in. So he's just gonna run right across to here, and then he's gonna use his sprint. Now, can I run between enemy models, or is there
As
a
long as
minimum
you have,
gap?
as long as you have room for your base.
Okay, so there's not room for my base there. I'll actually bring this in a little closer so everyone can see. There's not room to go through this point here. So what he's going to do for his sprint is he's just going to move up and actually come in contact with these 2 guys.
Okay.
So even though I'm not attacking this turn, I'm still keeping the pressure on and keeping them from having a single combat.
Created an awesome little mob scene over there.
Yeah, it's pack hunting, pack tactics.
Yeah, there you go.
So that's my final activation for this turn.
Okay, so I have... So that was your final activation?
Yep.
Correct.
Okay. I will activate now with my Hakar. And I will swing at your shield breaker.
Okay, so you have your will check.
Yep. My will of my Hakar is 6.
So 6 or less, and he's unimpaired. No,
I'm impaired.
so he will lose 1 die.
Okay, so I normally have 2.
Yep.
Takes me down to 1.
Yeah.
I have offensive mastery,
Okay.
which means that I get to roll an additional die, pick the best.
Okay.
Basically, the ability that the other Ashmen get only one-on-one.
Yeah.
The Hakar, he just has it.
I
Or
see.
she, I believe.
I see. All right, well, if you roll there for me, Dave.
Sure thing.
See what we get. Is
we
it
go.
dead?
What's your to build the tension, of course?
Well, what special abilities do you have?
I have nothing that affects your.
All right, so you're looking for an 8 or better.
8 or better. Okay, so if either of these come up 8 or higher,
Yeah, I'm dead.
10.
Oh.
So, with amazing skill, he spins, he slashes, and the shield breaker dies.
Yep.
And that is actually game.
Because that is 3 models.
Yep.
For every 3 models, you lose a point of morale. So you have
Yep.
lost your last morale.
Yep.
Bringing you to 0.
Yep.
You are still, I believe, at 4 because he hasn't killed quite enough guys yet.
Not enough guys yet.
Yep.
And so then the turn still continues. The game does not end immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So you, however, are out of activations. So
Yep.
you would say, okay, I pass,
Yep.
thereby giving Dave 1 last activation. So he would
My
get to do his Rathor.
Who could go back to the shrine and celebrate.
Yeah,
I think that could be
he's just watched everybody from the sidelines. You've done a good job. I'm off to the pub.
He will interact with a clay tablet and scribe in the the victory.
Well, gents, I have to say that is one of the most fantastic tactical games I've played. You really have to consider what you're doing. That slip of mine in turn 2, extending myself just that little bit too far, that really bit into me. Also, not going after my own motivation, that bit into me. You really have to focus on what's going to gain you those victory points for the effort that you're putting in. Shieldbreaker, I was far too gung-ho with. The Scourgehound, again, far too gung-ho with. I'm going to need a rematch, Dave. I'm going to need a rematch.
I think we can certainly arrange that.
All right,
That'll
well,
be good.
Good game, my friend.
Cool.
Excellent.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
One of the things
yourself?
one of the things that I'd like to say at the end here is, there are a few points where I think that because there were 2 motivations going on. You had to worry about yours, and you were worried about mine.
Yeah.
Achieving mine.
Yeah.
Oh, me achieving mine. So it's different to other games where there might be a central objective that both people are trying to do
Correct.
the same thing.
Yeah.
Given that each house can choose from 6 different motivations, there are a lot of different possibilities. Different troops, different leaders.
Different ways for you to build your force based off of the motivation that you think you're going to probably choose.
Yeah.
The game is so flexible, and like you said, it's tactically, once you get into the battle itself and things start moving around, and this guy's activation is he could have 3 guys, but he chooses to only send 2. There's so much that you can do with this game.
Yeah, it was one of those things that I was thinking there was, we didn't really see it much in this because Dave was able to keep his combined activations really neatly together, which is a sign of a good player. But if you had been a little bit more messy with that, all of a sudden, you would have had guys not activating in a turn, and I think that would have made such a big difference. So, commanders in this game are incredibly important and something really to look at. The one thing I'm thinking just from looking at this is, unless I'm playing quite the big game, I'm not really going to go for a rank 2 commander. If I have the chance to get 2 rank 1s on the table, I'm going to go for it.
They've got some neat abilities, those rank 2 guys. They've got some special traits, and they tend to have higher skills and awesome training and things.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you've got one model who's now very much like a chess piece. You've got to be perfect with him.
Yeah, the king on the table.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that was absolutely fantastic. I've really enjoyed it. Guys, drop your comments below. Tell us, did you enjoy that playthrough of Wrath of Kings? Have you learned how to play the game? Which of the factions is tempting you to jump in? For me, it's got to be the Goritsi. I love the big wolfies.
Nasier, House Nasier.
No, I'm giving this. Thank you very much for teaching me to play, gents. We will move on here. Hopefully you're enjoying the week. We will see you in another video.